What's up, guys? Riccardo Baleia here for episode 17 of the Riccardo Baleia Podcast. We've made it this far, guys. Thank you so much for watching all my episodes and following along. I got one more request for you. If you're watching, you appreciate the show, give me a little like on the video here, subscribe to the channel, and please make sure you share it. And let's get right into it. Today's guest is a man that I've known for quite some time. I've followed his career forever. And a guy that they've called the Michael Jordan of grappling and jiu-jitsu, Mr. Xande Ribeiro. How are you, sir?
Oh man, so good to be in your show. Of course, I know you've been, I don't know, for like what, maybe 2002 or three. I don't even know for how long we connected first time. Just amazing to be here to talk to you because I know you've been there, you've done there. You speak Portuguese, you speak my name properly, Xande. Um,
It's not
you know,
Zanji. It's not Zanji.
no,
It
no.
irritates me every time they do that.
Well, that's okay. I guess when the triple X came with that move, the Xander, I
Yeah.
got it didn't make it a point. But yeah, if it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I think people has to kind of like evolve a little and learn Portuguese. But yeah, man, such a pleasure to be here, part of your project. And I know you have a lot of footage from the past. I know you know me a lot, so be interested to see, what deep waters you're gonna take me.
We're not going to go too deep. It'll be nice and friendly, and like you said, we've known each other for quite some time. I've been studying your career for a long time. One of the first times I ever saw you compete was in Pan Am's 2001. I was actually there, and people were already buzzing about you. And I believe that was your first year as a black belt, correct?
My first tournament ever, actually.
Oh, wow. And you had
Yeah.
Gordo. Who else did you fight that day?
Oh man, I think I had Gordo in I had one guy and I had Gordo, which I lost to him and took third in the division. And then I came back next day and I fought Rodrigo de Boni, I fought Carlos Santos, I fought Cássio Werneck, and then I fought Fabio Leopoldo in the final for the Open. The
Nice, nice.
absolute. Yeah, yeah.
I have that tape, but like one version, then I have a second one. So I'm gonna find
Oh,
some. I got some Xande matches that you haven't seen in a long
oh,
time.
okay, okay. That'll be interesting. That'll be cool.
They're coming soon. So we were just chatting a little bit before the show started. You mentioned you're in Oklahoma with Rafael. How are things in your neck of the woods? Obviously, San Diego. I heard something about them opening up soon, and but you're in Oklahoma. I also heard you might be moving. Give us an update on what's going on in the wonderful world of Xande today.
Well, the wonderful world of Shanji finally is going to come to a rooted world. As everybody knows, my brother, he takes care of the academy, and I pretty much travel the whole world, spreading jiu-jitsu and training and do what I can. Actually, it's been a plan of mine to open my own academy. So I moved in America in 2002. I did have an academy with Chris Blanky for a little bit, but it has never been my own academy. But now it's for after 20 years. I'm gonna have the pleasure to open my own gym, my own place, with my students, thinking they can, kind of put my vibe in it. Not that I didn't do it in San Diego, but after a while I just traveled so much, and then I gave the administration to Saulo, and then we did made an arrangement on that end, So yeah, I was still gonna be traveling. I was supposed to be traveling. I was supposed to go to the Grapples Escape around this area at the time. But it didn't happen. COVID came in. I did a big restructure on my plans, and I actually already have a place to live, and I'm in the process to get approval for the lease for the commercial place. And as soon as that is finalized, everyone will know for sure. First, I have to do the business part,
Yep.
just get a website, make sure and people know they can find me. But that's not paused right now because it's just pretty much procedures going on. But for sure, I have been talking to Fight to Win for a long time. It's been a while. I wanted to fight a show that has that environment, the submission only type of vibe. And Rafael is a champion there. There's a lot of our guys that have been competing there. So it's 6th place June. Victor Hugo started this weekend, winning his title. Lovato gonna defend his title next Friday, and I'm finally doing my debut and Fight to Win on June 26th on the last Dallas card. So I'm pretty excited to go back on the mat. For me, Like I mentioned many times, it's a comeback. I haven't fought in 2 years. My last BJJ fight was 2018 against Pena, and even before that, I wasn't really. I fought ADCC 2017, then I fought San Diego Open, Worlds, and I haven't fought since. So
Oh
pretty much
wow.
it's almost like a 3 year thing, not really being active, but just excited. It's really amazing. Like me and Rafael were talking yesterday, how like kind of like I'm on the urge of my not the urge like of my elite, let's say elite career for competition. He's still like getting his peak, and now Victor Hugo is coming up. So
Mm.
it's interesting to see. It's just so much stuff happening, and definitely I'm in Oklahoma right now. I'm going to stay here doing the whole camp. Since Rafael is not anymore in the MMA, so now he's just focused on jiu-jitsu. And here's the place to be. We have green strength. We have a huge gym. Lovato Jiu-Jitsu has a huge team for us. A lot of beasts here, and us three together is just a reminiscence of me, Saulo, and Lovato back in the day. Now we have Victor Hugo with 250 pounds, and that's painful sometimes.
You say 250 pounds, but the guy moves like a lightweight. You know what I mean? Flying triangle the other night or flying arm lock. The guy's like so slick, and obviously it's a testament to training with you guys. One of the things that I really respected about you as a competitor is you're one of the guys, and I don't have a direct quote, but you kind of said this, and you made a point of doing it, not just with words, but your actions. But you've been open to competing in every single rules format there is, and you're never one that bitches about the rules after if something
Yeah.
doesn't go in your way. It's like you go out there, you put your heart out there, you fight. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. But you're not really complaining, and you try everything, and that's something I really respect. So talking about the rule set, me and Rafael were talking about this the other day, and I really think that the fight to win rule set could actually show the best Xande that we've seen. I think you're going to be able to just flow and just go and not worry about points and just go for it. And I know because your defense is probably one of the greatest in the world, you're not going to be so worried about getting scored on because it's fight to win rules. So tell me a little bit about that, fighting in the rule set, and maybe a little bit about your philosophy on fighting different rule sets.
hmm Yeah, I don't think the rule changed much, like the way I fight. It's just, of course, I think it changed more my opponent and my ability to fight, because in our idea of which you call timeless jiu-jitsu, it's about be able to withstand pressure, not get caught in bad positions, apply a dominant position and finish. And I think the score system is just a process to achieve that dominant position. So it doesn't change much. Like I said, what I think will change me fighting my next opponent is that he if he goes on the top, or there's no advantage, so he's not
Mm.
anywhere. You know what I mean? He's gonna have to maybe score on his mind. So I've got situation that I've lost fights, and the guys score an advantage, and I can see their change the way they fight. They are already not exposing themselves so much. They're holding a lot. They're controlling the situation. They're not taking risks. So I think it works both ways. So I think when I fight, if you look at fight like my last fight with Pena, for example, he didn't risk much. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I even like make my body a little more loose to see if they will attack an arm lock or triangle or something, and not just like try to wrap themselves around me so much. So I think that's what's going to be. I think it's not even much about me, because I don't play rules. I play dominant position, and of course the rules are if you get a dominant position, you score points. So that doesn't change at all. My objective is always we're going to be the same. I think it's going to change is I'm not going to be so concerned about, oh, he has three advantages on me. Oh, he like maybe because my game is so open, he might jump around my side, or maybe get to my side and I recover guard, which in a competition would be maybe an advantage. For there, it's just whatever. It's just getting him tired. He still have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I feel. I fought many different rule sets. I think your ability to adapt to rule sets is the most important thing, because fighting is still a fight. People talk so much about rule sets, but it's still a fight. It's still getting to a dominant position. It's still, controlling your opponent in a more efficient way. It's still your ability not to get messed up. So I still don't believe people can't pass my guards, not because no points. I'm not gonna let them pass my guard. I still take pride of that. Like I said, I don't see a mount position. I don't see a guard pass. Maybe, which most of the time what happens, maybe a back. But yeah, but I'm ready. I have Victor Hugo. He's like you said, he moves. He's so intelligent. Nothing works with that guy. You know what I mean? You can put him in every single modern little bitch jiu-jitsu position, and he can just go away from everything unless he wants to be in it. That's sometimes my complaint with it. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. Like I said, I now it's like I said, put in a perspective of like Saulo was like Saulo as the root, and then me as kind of like evolution, and then Lovato as the new young guy with the new ideas. You know, now I'm the older guy. Lovato the established, beast, and Victor Hugo is the baby, which is
Mm-hmm.
not much of a baby. So it's just amazing how everything planned out. And if you look at this, it's like Saulo 5'10", I'm 6 foot, and then Lovato 6'3", Vitor Hugo 6'6". I don't know. Maybe the next guy's gonna be a 7 footer. I hope so. Like I said, it's like I said, it's just jiu-jitsu, man. It's just
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. It's just to go there and go. It's a good fight. Like I said, I'll fight anybody. I don't care. But of course, I have to be smart. I'm not 25. I'm 39, and I take almost as a compliment that people like. They offer me like, oh, would you fight Gordon? Would you fight Kaina? I'm like, well, of course I'll fight them, but I need to get back into a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in like 6 months that I'll be ready to like pretty much fight. Once my academy is built and everything is in order, and then yeah, I can focus and probably I can fight any of those guys and any rule set they put him in front.
One of the things that, like another thing that I respected about you over the years is, although you bring the intensity to the competition, you're very focused. You're very intense. Your brother, you always had a very chill vibe and a very open vibe, learning from even your opponents. And that's something that I've always noticed. You were one of the guys that, not older generation, but like of the past generation, that it was kind of cliche, kind of what's the word? Like, it wasn't really acceptable, but you kind of were the guys that were breaking boundaries. Like, I saw you fight Jacare, and then like a couple years later, you're cornering him. You know what I mean? I saw you, fighting Damian Maia, and then you're training together. A lot of guys you fought against, you've been open to learning from them. Where did that come from? Was that something that's all Xande, or was that, came from your lineage, that you kind of were kind of humble enough to want to learn from even your competitors? Because that's something that it's not very common from the guys that taught you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I know what you mean because I started. I can say, Ricardo, that I've been in the worst situation because I started jiu-jitsu. Like I said, the only time we did no gi was slap fighting. There was the luta livre jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like the rivalry. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally, if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, you need to be ready to hold your fist up to
Yep.
fight a luta livre guy. So I don't know. I think I have always been a human above everything. I have never judged anybody because of their background. I have always had friends to the different colors, different shapes, different social, levels, billionaires to people that, couldn't even pay the membership. I don't know. I just thought that like as much as I learned jujitsu, it's that power gave me the confidence, not just to step up for myself, but to understand that there's things beyond that. And not just that, I remember, I don't know if it was because people maybe were afraid of my brother. I remember even the Luta Libre guys, when I would actually be a little nervous and they would be like, hey, what's up? I always felt that they brought this not the evil of them on me. They'll be willing to like what's up, because that's what I brought. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feed the anger or the social, which is happening today. You give your opinion now. Next thing I know, you're racist, or you
Yeah.
white, you like you supreme, whatever it's happening right now. So I have always been the type of person that I respect people's backgrounds and I respect where they come from, and you never know the pain they're in. So I have always like been that way, some sort. And as much as jiu-jitsu gave me that power, I think I used that power to give people example. And there is one situation and then I'll fast forward to your question.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I moved to Rio and I did my first World Championships. That really caught my eye because first I fought 97 and I took third, and people, oh my God, Saulo's brother, Terere was the champion, and right there, Terere was so friendly to me, like, and Terere was actually my first non like non Gracie Maita friend.
Mm.
People don't know in 1999 when I won my first worlds at a brown belt, I actually went to the favela and celebrate with him.
Huh.
He actually
Nice.
called me.
Nice.
And nobody knows that because Saulo was going to compete next day. So the whole team was still like, nobody was going out. And Terere, it's like, hey, Paraíba, where are you? Because I lived not too far from him. I said, hey,
Mm.
we're cooking some food. I think even Jackson Souza was so tiny. And he's like, hey, come here. My father wants to see you. We have big food. And I got there. Everybody's dancing funk. Everybody's eating food. So, like I said, for me, a patch on the back does not limit the person that I am with you. You can
Mm.
be Gracie Barra, you can be a lot. Even I had problems with Gracie Barra, and when they disrespect me, I remember when Braulio came in and Tusa and Romulo Lehman, they were talking this shit about you during the match, but it never changed me.
Mm-hmm.
Even and then I can even like go a little bit when Rafael started to show up in the jiu-jitsu community. I got a lot of criticism from the Brazilian guy say, "Oh, you train this gringo." I'm like, "No, this gringo is my brother." So for me, there's no race, there's no nations. For me, it's just humans.
Nice.
And yeah, man. And like I said, I was willing to learn. Uh, like I said, whatever I've won or the patch I wore, it did not define who I am. Who define who I am is the person that I am every day when I look in the eye. So, like I said, I remember even Rodrigo Pinheiro was my first rivalry. We became friends. Terere was my first friend there. And then I started to meet a bunch of people, especially because Saulo had already like a very aggressive persona. And when they saw, like I said, I didn't change, I didn't act a certain way to be accepted. I just like, oh, whatever, I am who I am. And when this guy, and then going back to that crucial point, was my first fight, right? And the guy walks in, he goes to me, his name is Antonio, he teaches in Portugal. He goes to me, hey man, it's an honor for me to fight you. And I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, I'm 18-year-old purple belt. And I kind of like, first of all, I had to forget that because I was going to try to beat
Yeah.
him. And then I reflect, and and that was the same year that I won, right? And the same year that I won, I kind of like disrespected Ricardo Bastos. It was a big mess because Terere even teased me saying he was going to smash me, and I kind of like finished and I did a little song. It was just weird, but in the end, we were all friends. In the end, me, Ricardo, and Bruno were the besties. We drank together, we ate hot dogs together, Yeah, and then that made me think about. I was like, man, I fought the worlds. I'm the world champion. This guy tells me I honor, and I'm here in the favela having fun with Terere. It's insane, just like I was remember being the top of the favela and everybody was dancing and I'm like, I think it's the right way to do it. It's the
Yeah.
right way to do it. It doesn't matter. Let's kick each other's ass in the mat. And I believe if someone judges me or stop being my friend because I beat him or because this or that, it's on him. It's not on me. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
change the way I am. The perceive that you have in a situation is different than mine. If they're not the same, you go that way, I go this way. And I can tell you 100 stories from all the guys and within the generations. 2001, 2002, 3, 4, 5, until today. I just see how much care. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
got from those guys. How much not just respect. And I know they want to kick my ass, which is totally fine. And it's just how it is. And then you talk about Jacaré. I coached him from MMA. He helped me on my first fight. He slept in my house. Damian, same thing. Even Dragavon did a training camp with us
Yep.
in San Diego before he even, moved to San Diego. I just wish I would train with more people. There's way more guys I wish I would train. I tell Rafael sometimes, man, you'll be training for all the guys I want to train. But the time will come, with my new gym. Maybe they come and visit me, and then it'll be a little easier if I'm not traveling so much.
I remember there was one picture that never really got out there. I took it, and I think it was
Okay.
after. I think it was after 2007 or 2008, and I love this picture because it showed how genuine you were. But basically, what it was after Alianza won the black belt world title,
Uh-huh.
you went up to Fabio Gugel and they were all cheering and celebrating. As everyone's walking out, you're like, I want an Alliance shirt. I want to celebrate with you guys too. and I took a picture, and you guys are both, like
Uh-huh.
kind of shoulder on shoulder, and you're wearing the shirt. And to me, that was something like, because at the Worlds, there's no thicker heat amongst the teams. But you were like, no, man, like, I'm happy for you guys. I want to
Oh
wear
yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
that really stood out for me. That was something that I never forgotten. Again, that kind of showed me how much of a different person you were. Not that there's anything wrong with being loyal to your team and
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
all that. That's cool. I love that. I think it's cool too. But it just showed me. It was like, wow, like I had never seen that before. It was just, it was something that had never been done. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I guess I'm in Switzerland, which is interesting because it's like alliance. I don't know, the love they got from me was just weird. All of a sudden, boom, Fabio. I remember I kept teasing Fabio. Fabio, I'm gonna beat your fourth title. I'm gonna be the biggest, and he was like super cool about it. Say I'm gonna send my dogs to you. So Bernardo beat me, and then Leo Nogueira beat me, and all those guys kept like stop me from winning my fifth title. And I remember when I used to like with checkmate was a little after that, but I remember like if I would fight a Baja guy, Alliance would cheer for me,
Yeah.
and it was just it's just interesting how it goes,
Yeah.
And then definitely I guess Baja guys was a bigger right. Even the Baja guys would cheer for me, but after a while, when the situation of course was pertinent, but yeah, man, like going out and then because the whole Alliance team were from Terere side, and I became
Yeah.
very good friend with Terere, and then Comprido we did judo together, and then there was that all the relationship with the Natellis and Galvão, when before became TT and all of that. So yeah, and then I think it's just turned that way. It's just show that we kick each other's ass in the mat, but we don't have to be assholes to each other.
Nice. And yeah, it's a very rare thing to see. Sometimes people take it a little too far, but you're kind of taking it on the other end of the
Yeah.
spectrum. So, getting into technique now, getting into a little bit more specific jiu-jitsu talk.
Hmm.
Your technique, and again, like I find that you guys have evolved. You've evolved your game, and you looks like you've kind of always been willing to fight people, even at their own game, but still insisting on your game. I know, Saulo has a very hard nosed, aggressive game, and to a degree, yours is very similar, but you have your own kind of twist on it. How did your style kind of evolve and differ? Kind of growing up and coming from Brazil, and obviously we mentioned training in Manaus, and how did you kind of build your own game? Because I feel like your game is pretty unique to you. I see a lot of Lovato in there. It's a little different than Saulo, but tell me how your game kind of evolved through the years, like things that you kind of don't do anymore, how the things that you added from who. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Um. Well, like it's pretty simple, Like it's always it's so simple that sometimes it's little like complicated to explain. Um. The thing about our jiu-jitsu, it's very straightforward, Like there's certain things when people talk to me, I'm like, is this even a thought? Like sometimes it's just a mindset. The way they try to win jiu-jitsu, it just like doesn't ring a bell on me much. There's one thing that's never going to change. A side control is a side control, a mount is a mount, a back is a back. And a close
Mhm.
guard will always be a close guard. So I think those elements, close guard, side control, mount, and back, they'll always be the same. And that's where I am a master on. And that's where Sal
Mhm.
is a master on. And that's what Rafael is mastering on, and also our basics, it's like nobody do anything to us. Sweeping is just a sweep. And what is a sweep anyway? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? In a perspective, in my opinion, in a perspective of a fight, because for me, it's still a fight. That's why the diamond concept and it's very hard for people to really pass my guard. It's not because of my guard self, it's because they can't control me. You know what I mean? That the immobilization is not there. They're concerned about the mindset. What I believe, especially in guard passing, me and Rafael were talking about it. maybe he even talk about it, like how when you pass the guard, when you have in your mind, I say I want to mount and dominate this guy. It may be a longer route to like winning for certain people, but what you gain with it is way greater. You gain pressure, you gain position, you gain heaviness, you gain a good side control, you gain a good top half guard, and you gain the mount. Versus nowadays, you see guys that pass guard and they pass guard, get the points, and they can never press the guard anymore because now they don't even try. So I think it didn't change much because there's a certain point, there's no more game. It's about dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people, maybe the eyes of the modern jiu-jitsu guy, they can't see it, is when someone is quitting, is when someone is trying to hold on to you. So pretty much what have changed is the guard, really. And the thing that I think that changed, which I kind of like and I'm trying to adapt, is the berimbolo from passing. When the guys invert and you can go for the back, taking, because I do a lot of like jumping to make the guy turn over and then you take the back. So, and like I said, the game, I guess the tools change, in my opinion. The game is the same.
Gotcha.
The aim is going to be the same. So there's a target there. I have to hit the 10. If I'm using a 40, a 9 millimeter, it changes the tool, but the objective is the same. And that's why, in my view, Rafael and myself, we're gonna always have a chance with any fighter in the world because we see that. Okay, I'm not gonna put that high of a math, but I think 50% of them all, they have no clue how to survive and how to defend themselves in a position of disadvantage, and that's my opinion. So I think any single guy that I get a good position, it's gonna come out. You got to take them out. That's how it goes, and that's where I'm taking to Victor Hugo. Which that's what's happening because he has all of those tools. He can pull an AK, he can pull a 9 millimeter, he can pull a bow and arrow, a bow. He can pull everything out. But when it was time to hit and be precise, he was missing that. Especially with lighter guys and things like this. So, and that's where people don't understand, and that's what I wanted him to understand. I say, no, you're here, you're in heaven. There's nowhere else to go. So, position now jiu-jitsu, it's a never-ending situation. Cross, mount, back, close guard. It's always going to be it. What's going to differ is the way I use the lapel, is the way I evolve my mobility and things like this. So the game never changes. Once someone's under pressure, they all crumble, and that's always going to be that way. It doesn't matter. They what else is going to create more ways to wrap your leg? It is what it is.
Talking about that, and I totally see what you're saying. The tools change, but the target stays the same. But was there ever somebody that you competed against that made you, or that you learned from, whether it be win or loss? Was there somebody that forced you to really kind of adapt to that style or change certain tools to?
Oh yeah. That I think one of the first guys was the Bastos, Bruno, because Bruno was a half guard guy, and I had to deal with that, and of course Braulio, Roger, close guard, so I had to adapt to that. Who else? Pedipano had good De La Rivas and inverted. Pedipano was the first one to do cross sleeve inverted. And
First
stuff like
big,
that.
first big guy like that too.
Yes. And of course Jefferson Morrow for hook sweeps, and then I think the most modern-ish guys that I've learned the most was definitely Romulo Barral, just the spider game, which for me is the most annoying game. It's totally cool, it's totally effective, but I just see too many people using just for the sweep method. I don't see people, which we see Felipe Andrew doing a lot. He does the spider, but very aggressive,
Yeah.
for for triangles and omoplatas, they're all there. So I think my opponents, like I said, I can name you a few. Like in Jacare was super aggressive. Margarita, him the collar. Damien was more of like a dragging guy. You know what I mean? And then Tally's was the turtle guard. So I fought all styles really. You know what I mean? And I had to really understand their game, but never forget about mine. So I never tried to mimic the game. I tried to understand the game, not to get caught on it, and still put my game in it.
Mm.
So, and that's why like my ability to have a timeless jiu-jitsu is always there. Because all right, what's the worst thing that can happen now? Is a 50-50. For me, the worst is 50-50 lapel. Like, come
Yeah.
on, you don't want to fight me. It's for real. If you put a 50-50 in rep, for me, this is not a game.
Yeah.
That's not even evolution. I'm just sorry to say. If you do that and that's your idea to score a point, for me, this is not even change the game, it's ruining the game. What changed the game? Berimbolo changed the game. It's super cool, it's effective, and people do it. I just don't like the whole two butts on the floor.
Yeah.
Berimbolo, totally fine. Two
Yeah.
butts on the floor, not fine. Lapel, yeah, lapel, there's the pros and cons, but again, if you just do that and then you wrap yourself around it. So for me, the evil of jiu-jitsu today would be lapella 50, if I could say that way. And then the lassos has always been there, super effective. You can use, against for triangles or palatas. I use a lot of lasso with my collar grip and things that evolve. So like I said, I don't try to mimic. I try to see what I can learn from it and how I can adapt to my own game. But again, once you invade the person's diamond, it's all the same. They're all humans. They all crumble if they're not trained for that. And that's one thing that Rafael, myself, and Victor is getting to the process is to train to deal with that sense of I'm gonna die here if I don't do the right thing.
Mm.
And that's how it goes. And you see so many great guys, that sometimes I see that they can teach you many, many sweeps, but okay, teach me escape from side control. Oh, I push here, shove here. I'm like, well, where's the leverage? Where's the fundamental behind this? Where's your ability to survive and to stay calm? We saw, many world champions. You can see like world champions going from like winning great tournaments and then getting smashed in another one and look like a white belt underneath of somebody. For me, makes no sense. Makes no sense at
Mm.
all.
So, you mentioned a lot of names of guys that you competed. You've been competing since 2001, adult black belt, all the way to 2018, and now coming back today. You've fought in, a who's who. Like, and whenever I look through your BJJ Heroes listing of all the guys, it's incredible because, you're fighting in your first matches. You're fighting the creator of Half Guard Gordo, all the way to Roger, all the way to Jacare Calvão, to today's monsters, Felipe Pena and Buchecha. I think, in my opinion, probably the most memorable, the most exciting I've ever seen you, and the most, the time that I've ever seen you jump for joy in a victory had to be your win against Roger. Was number one, was that your biggest win, do you feel, in your career? Number two, tell me a little bit about how that fight went, because you guys have fought over the years, and tell me what it was about that much in particular were you able to get the win. And I'm talking about the World's Finals, and in 2005 or six, 2006. That's right.
Yeah,
So
six.
that's the one I'm talking about. Am I off
Yeah, yeah.
there? Am I was
Uh-huh.
was that your
Yeah.
was that your happiest victory?
Yeah, for sure. For many reasons, First of all, I almost didn't compete that tournament because I was doing my green card at the time, and I was doing the whole training camp without knowing if I was gonna compete, because I didn't have the visa, and also, and how people discredit me a little bit, because 2001 losing to Gorno, 2002, I took tournament open, my first, my first open, my second worlds, and my first open division. I beat the who's who, and I lost to Pejupano, and I could have closed out with Saulo. with 21 years old. 2003, I had an infection before ADCC, and I didn't compete all the way until 2004. And in 2004, I did win everything, and then I lost Jacare in a very, close
Yep.
out match, and then he got his arm broken, and then people like discredited Xande. I was like, okay, not a problem, and then '05, and of course '05, I got my ass kicked in the ACC, but I had I beat Jacare, so I was showed that like I had the chance to win and everything, but in '05, just for a bad strategy, I end up fighting Roger on the final of my division. I lost to him, and then I lost to Braulio in the Open, which again was a kind of like a weird fight. But then, so was the whole like Jacare and Roger thing.
Hmm.
I don't remember why Jacare didn't fight '06, to tell you the truth. I cannot remember that. But anyhow, so '06 I did fight a week before. So I ended up fighting, going to Brazil, and I fought the Copa do Mundo a
Yep.
week before, and I had like 6 fights. And I beat Braulio, I beat Galvão, I beat Gaia, Braulio beat Margarida, and I had all those fights, and I lost Pejipano in the semifinal. So I won. So anyway, on that weekend, I had 14 fights,
Oh wow.
and I think I had 11 submissions in 14 fights on that weekend, and then I fought the worlds, I beat Cyborg in the semifinal, of the Open, and in my final, I, I, I submit everyone all the way to the finals in '06, and people, okay, it's not Jacare, Roger gonna win, I'll say, what, man, this guy gonna have to tear my freaking head apart to beat me, And I remember, he's so confident, which I would, the guy is a beast, For me, he's the GOAT for sure. And it was just overwhelming because he did beat me in Abu Dhabi '03, Abu Dhabi '05, and then I beat him in Pan Am's, and then he goes there and freaking pulls guard the most silly way and catches me, and I'm like, God damn it, dude, you know. And I triangle him in the CC. He escapes. He catches me. I was like, what the fuck's going on? You know what I mean? Like, can't do anything right in this thing. Yeah, and I think the whole process of like being the underdog and being in Tijuca, and they already said, oh, it's gonna end here. We're gonna go to Worlds next year. I was like, you know what, man, this guy's not gonna beat me. So I had a good strategy. That take down the end, which according to the rules at the time was 2 points. I got the two, and then ended up beating me. And for sure, just feeling that energy. And again, I think maybe 80% of people are more cheering against him, than
Hmm.
actually cheering for me, because they're calling like, oh, vice de novo means like you're second again versus Xande is the champion. But it is what it is. Like I said, I don't make that thing change the way I feel about my accomplishments. And I think for sure that one had a special. It's for sure is the first one, the most important one because at that point, I was the number one in the whole world, no doubt, in my sport. So I can say that I am the number one, the best out of 7 billion people in the world. I am the number one, and for sure that feeling is never to be forgotten.
So that match will, obviously be the most memorable. Would do you think that that actual tournament will go down as the one that you're most proud of in your career, or is there any other tournament that you feel was like your biggest tournament win?
Uh, for the circumstances, maybe because like I said, 14 fights.
Yeah.
Plus training, not knowing if I was going to compete. But '08 was also a very special one. I was in super good shape. Uh, I haven't told that story to too many people. I think I have told in maybe one or two interviews. I had a SI joint injury 2 weeks before 2008 Worlds, so I did not train. So I had a judo to no, I got hurt on like a Friday. So then there's this one weekend, and then a whole week came by, and there was another weekend, and then the next weekend was World. So I don't know how timelines are. So pretty much 2 weeks before the World, I did not train. I had one training session before Worlds. That was when me and Bob Anderson were talking about the Duck Under, which became the Xande Guruma. and that people don't know. So but I was in super good shape. I meditate a lot. I did a lot of breathing. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't take a shit properly because my back would hurt so much.
Wow.
I was laying down for 10 days.
Wow.
And I went there and I said, and I told him, I remember telling Fredson, I said, Fredson, I don't think I can pull guard, man. I cannot do guard. I could not have people put pressure on me. Say, how am I supposed to fight? And he's like, hey man, just go for it. I ended up pulling guard on everyone. I beat like Gabriel Vela. I did submit to Vela, but he said I didn't tap. But I beat Braga Neto. I beat Tarsis. I beat Alexandre de Souza. I don't know. I don't even know how many guys I beat that weekend. But yeah, I think out of 8 fights, I maybe submit 6. Yeah, I only didn't submit Roger, Tarsis, and my final. Everyone else I
Wow.
submitted. And no, okay, I think it was 8 fights and 4 submissions. Yeah, and then of course, and then going to the final. Of course, everybody thought because Roger, he just lost to Xande in 2006, and then 2007 I lost to Romulo, and then 2008 it's like okay, this time he'll get Xande, and I was like, man, you're gonna have to tear my freaking head apart again. You know what I mean? So we go in. I get my takedowns in. I had a huge mistake. I stopped fighting. I'm into the end. He would have break my arm for sure. You know what I mean? If that last second arm lock was totally my fault. I was like, look to the time. My head's supposed to be here. I was looking to the time. It was just everything could go. I did everything wrong at that moment, just like the Lucas Leite final in 2015. I say, what am I doing? You know what I mean? But yeah, man, it just also, hearing the Gracie Barra guys and chanting a bunch of disrespect and things, it just made. I think that one made out. It's a conjunction, but for sure, 06 was great. 08 was more like, okay, guys, there's no doubt. And then then here you go.
So, talking about today, you're an instructor. You mentioned that you're looking forward to opening an academy. I was talking to, and I say this every episode because I love posing this question to every guest. And I was talking to Shaolin, Vito Ribeiro, somebody who bears your same last name, but you're not related from what I know. But anyways, Shaolin made a good point to me, and he said to me, he goes, Malaya, he goes, I tell all my students, you started to learn jiu-jitsu and you're training jiu-jitsu in the worst time ever. And I was like, really? Why? He's like, yeah, because you got TikTok jiu-jitsu, you got Instagram jiu-jitsu, YouTube jiu-jitsu, Facebook videos, all this shit before you even get into the academy. So when you get into the academy, you already have this like preconceived notion of what jiu-jitsu is, whether it be false or real. And then you come into class and you're not willing to like empty the cup and embrace what's coming to you. What do you think about that as far as like how the technology is today? Like I see it as a double-edged sword. I do work with Flow Grappling. There's tons of media, great stuff that they do as far as putting fights out. But I almost, I know as a coach as well, I see some students coming to me and they're like, man, I want to learn this lapel and this heel hook and this, that. And you're like, you don't even know how to hip escape. You don't even know how to technical stand yet. Like they're missing a lot of basics. So do you believe in like there is still needs to be this systematic approach? What else are your thoughts on the whole, like kind of technical, YouTube generation that is today in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, he's totally correct. I guess I'm gonna make a comparison, like when people say if supplements is gonna make you better, right? So there's real food and there's supplements. You know what I mean? So going to the academy and following the steps is your real fuel. You need to eat your food, eat your greens, do your diet. That's you learning the essentials and the foundations of jiu-jitsu, and you should not like, you can only understand what's in a scream if you actually have witnesses it like in your body, and that's what happens, and of course some people look at something like me. Sometimes I look at something, boom, and I go back, but the reason I can do that is because I have met time.
Yeah.
So I think you cannot take away the ability of like online systems, like BJ
Hmm.
Library. Of course, I have my own platform, which I bring people. I bring people that I think that have something that matters to teach in each game. It's not my own game. It's just, if you see, it's a lot of variety, but nothing ever going to duplicate being on the mat. And also comes into which I think is the problem in the society today, is the stress of over what's the name of the word, like you always being, it's too much excitement that comes in, too much influence. How can I say the word? I always forget the word.
Over analyzing or over.
No, there's too much like too much information, like
Mhm.
you always
That
now.
was his quote. He said, "Too much information is no information." So
Yeah, so what happened is, it's like when you go home stressed,
yeah.
you're in the rush hour, you're pissed off, blah 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 blah, blah. And maybe your wife goes, Baleia, you're a little too fat today, but she's joking, you think she's bitching at you, and you guys end up in a fight, and
Mm.
nothing get resolved. And I think that's what it is. Like, for example, me, how many techniques of jiu-jitsu I know? I don't know. I can't put that in a paper. So when I go to a class, empty your mind. You know what I mean? That's Bruce Lee that said everything, and that's what we need to avoid. We can't really avoid your student to go and support of online process, but you just gotta make sure he knows how to empty his cup. It
Mm.
doesn't matter. Like, sometimes I kick black belts out of my academy because sometimes I'm teaching something simple, right? And as part of the martial art, they need to be focused on that one. And I look around, they're doing something else. You know what I mean? So I was like, and that's why. So people are getting addicted to this thing of like grabbing the phone, so they never can hold on to one thing, because what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? They're lit. So it's I can even make that analogy with the world today. How much stress, how much people, they relationships and food, and they can't be disciplined. So I think there is a niche. I think it is possible to learn some, with the same thing. Can you get stronger drinking chocolate shake? Yes, you can, but eventually you're gonna get a cancer, and that's how it goes, And it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. It's totally fine. I think it's totally fine, but you rely on it. You're gonna say, "Oh, I learned on the YouTube." No, you trained a lot for sure. You
Mm.
had someone to help you, but like I said, your weakness, it's gonna be exposed, and six blade jiu-jitsu will expose you that weakness if you don't train proper, because it's okay. You might learn 100 ways to do lapel, but once the lapel is gone, what's left for you? And that's how I see it, so be on the mat, be able to de-stress, be able to go to the academy, take a second to yourself. Okay, I'm here to learn. And going back, me, when I watch Lovato's fight, I learned so much, because I don't go, oh, I know this. No, let me see how he speaks. Let me see how he talks about this. Let me see his view about that. Because maybe it can be the same position that I teach, but with a different point of view, and I'm learning already. It's because I'm empty. When I empty the mind, and people have this idea. I sometimes I talk about like this about the mind. If you put so much information, your water gets dirty. So you
Mm.
need to empty that so you can put new water in it. And that's what matters, because like when you have ideas, it's not like, sometimes I was talking to one of my athletes. I say, so what do you want to do about it? Oh, I'm thinking about. I say, you know what? Do a test. Don't think about it. It's gonna come to you. And 3 days later, man, I know what I want. La, la, la. So it gives a space for knowledge.
Mhm.
It's almost like when your computer has like 15 windows opens. You know what I mean? Just sometimes there's one window that's gonna stuck, and you have
Yep.
to close the other
Yeah.
ones. And I think that's how it is. I think there is, but again, it's a complement. It's always going to be a complement. It's a new world. There's new tools, but nothing beats touching. Nothing beats being on the mat and feeling the pressure. Nothing beats that. Nothing beats that. But again, I think it's up to us educators to be able to pass the message. Say, yeah, my students go, oh, can I go learn this thing from this guy? Hell yeah, but make sure you there. Forget about everything that I teach you. Learn everything he's teaching you, and then you come back and you can talk about it. And I do that a
Mhm.
lot. All my students, they always go to seminars. I never go, oh, don't go. He's not gonna teach you anything. I say, wait, make sure you go there. Go learn. If there's something you can take away from it, we can discuss, and then just make sure don't come in here and try to be funny. Next thing I know, you hurt. And that's where usually how it goes. So I think if you as a teacher, as an instructor, understand how to develop this in your students, I think tools to learn will be always be welcome.
Do you think that in doing so and kind of allowing your students to the ability to learn, but also be respectful, do you think that like hierarchy is still something that maybe today's generation is not that they're not used to, or not that they're not respecting, but it's kind of missing a little bit? Do you think that that's an important thing to have? Like when I see how do I explain it? And I think it's a cultural thing,
Mm-hmm.
when I go to Brazil and I see like the students talk to, especially in Manaus, like you see students talk to the instructor. They don't even call him professor; they call him mestre. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the instructor, like they're not just their jiu-jitsu coach; they're their life coach. They're their dad.
Mm-hmm.
They're everything for them. But in here, there's a little bit of a different attitude where it's like, no, 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 I'm paying a fee to be at your gym. And, if I don't like it, I'm the paying customer. Do you feel like, there's like a little bit of a weird unbalancing act there? Or like, do you, first of all, do you see what I'm saying? And
Yeah, yeah,
second of
yeah.
all, how do you think we kind of need to shift that in your opinion, or how do you deal with that?
It's just how the culture in your gym is based on. If you're a guy that's just there for the money, yeah, you're gonna get students that just gonna be there. I'm paying you, and I don't give a fuck about you.
Mm,
It's just how you create the environment of respect, of understanding the procedures of the academy. They need to understand it's a martial art. They need to feel they're part of something greater than what they're doing. If you go there and you're just very formal with them and you don't care about them, yes, they're gonna just look at you. Okay, I'm gonna go with that guy, and that guy maybe is not even a better teacher. So, like, I always have a problem because I'm such of a high level athlete. Sometimes people think they need to have the higher also expectation that I expect them for that much. And usually it does get that respect right away. And then because as I talk to them, I make them feel important because just who I am is an extension of who you are. And I just think you need to care. And of course, I think that the modern society is losing the grasp of values, even within their families. It's not just a jiu-jitsu thing, it's a generational thing where, it's wrong. Many things are like, oh, it's like kids are like 18-year-old because they have an iPad and can Google things. They think they know everything. And therefore, they don't need to respect their parents. When I walk on a mat, I'm very aware. I create awareness to my students. Say, hey, if you ever go to academy, pay attention who's the black belt. Pay attention who has more degrees. I teach them the history of jiu-jitsu. I teach them
mm,
the mannerism inside of a mat. So I am going to attract these people that they want to grow in that type of culture, where they respect, they understand, okay, I need to make sure I respected this because I want to be respected because one day I'm going to be in that position. And that's what I make them understand. And just unfortunately that some people just open academies to make a buck. And sometimes they don't even, they didn't, were even raised in that environment. And that can create a problem. Like, some guys like they pay school, they pay like high prices and they love to clean the mats, because
mm.
they want to be in the academy a little longer. They want to, they want to sometimes a little mat chat with the teacher. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of things involved. The only thing that I don't appreciate is when they struggle to demand the respect that he's not giving. And that's
Mm,
where everything gets messed up. Because for me, it's not because I'm there as a black belt, if someone pays my gym, he has to automatically respect me. It doesn't matter. At the first moment, he may be just a customer, and that's what it is. And if I don't make that person, if I don't respect him right away, I say, hey, this is how it works. Blah blah blah. It's a procedure. But besides that, we all the same. The only thing that's different is because my belt is higher than yours. And going back to where you asked me in the beginning, if that was something, why can I talk to so many generations and be welcome to so many generations? Because I understand the respect that has to be given, because I give respect. And if I get back, great. If I not, I will understand, because maybe someone didn't get that. So therefore, I get the treatment from years of being jiu-jitsu, and it still be respected, and I respect. So I think it starts from the teacher. For the moment that the teacher uses his ability to be a teacher to overpower a student just because he said so, that's where the problem starts. If someone walks in, he's like, all right, $300 in my pocket, you gotta lick my fucking shoes because you're my teacher. No, it's not how it goes. It's not how it goes. So it's up how you create them. Like I said, unfortunately, there's a lot of not so prepared professors that become professors, and they end up creating a bad culture in their gym. Therefore, you start to contaminate everyone else. And guys go on the mat and have they have no etiquette. You have to have etiquette. It's a mat. It's not. I'm not going to allow you to walk around like bare chest. I said no. There's women here. There's multicultural. There's multi religions. There are multiple beliefs. So let's make something that's even. It's not going to hurt anybody. The only thing you have to do if you don't like to have a rash guard is to accept that. That
Mm.
this is not your house. This is our house, and this is our rules. I don't know how you do in your house, but in my house, that's how it goes. Okay, you're a paying customer. You don't like? Get out. It's not my problem, because I believe the service that I created, it's first of all very personal. It's because it's about people, and of course there's a cost, but it's about people first. And I'm going to attract the people that are allowed this. So if there's a bunch of students that think that way, it's definitely the way they were raised by their own instructors, and that's their own fault. So it's not your fault, because I know you're grown, in Brazil, history, people. Probably your students respect you for who you are. What I mean? You don't have to be the greatest champion, but you just have to be the greatest person that they think you are. And, good service. And of course, there's the business mechanism to attract people, to keep people, and things like this. But nothing's going to change who you are on the mat, and carry from them, and understanding their needs and things like that. Like I said, I'm a psychologist, I'm a father, I'm a this, I'm that, and the teamwork, and people, they have a spirit of ownership, because they think that academy is theirs also. Say, I'm
Yeah.
paying for something that's mine, and
Mm.
that's how it's like a mortgage. It's like I'm building something that's mine, and I think that's where people need to tap into, and that's why the six blades is it's our values. It's a family, is respect to one another, even though there's differences. Honor my name, my attitude, and what I say. I have a loyal to my principles. It's
Yeah.
not loyal to me. It's not me as a Xande. I'm not like someone to be worshipped, but they have to be loyal for the principles that we share. Therefore, I'm just a higher rank, and that's it.
Mm.
I have the attitude to do this, be positive about it, and the discipline to do this all over. That's the key. And if you can create that environment, it's just gonna. I guess that energy is just gonna spread, and you're gonna attract these people. There's always the ones that's gonna come in and
Yeah.
say, I'm paying you, because that's the way they're raised. But you can't please everyone.
Yeah. So, man, I was just looking at the clock. It's almost an hour, but I got to geek out on a couple things here.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, one of one of the biggest things, one of the techniques I think that a lot of people know you for, and one that you kind of made famous was the Xande sweep, the flower
Okay.
sweep, the famous sweep that you did against Marcelo 2004, which it's funny because very similar to what we were talking about. You always ended up training with your competitors. I remember seeing pictures of you going to New York to train with Marcelo back in the day. But let's get back to the
No, we,
Brasileiros.
we we punch each other in the face. That was
No
different.
way. Oh, you
Yeah,
were
because
because he was gaming for MMA. That's right.
yeah, it was so weird. I'm like, and I put my glove on. He's coming to me. I'm like, do I have to punch Marcelo Garcia? Come on, I don't want to punch him. But if I don't punch him,
He's nice.
I was like, fuck you, Marcelo. You know what I mean? And then we trained with the gi after that for sure.
Nice. Well, I want to talk a little bit about that Brasileiros 2004. I have a clip on my YouTube channel that I put of you just smashing Brasileiros, and a lot of people remember that finals, the absolute finals, where you fought Marcelo. You did the basic Xande sweep. You did the flower sweep that kind of became popular. Was that something that you were hitting prior to Marcelo against opponents a lot? I have to admit, I hadn't really seen it too much from you, if I saw it at all. Or was that something that you felt at the time that just Marcelo, maybe that was a kink in his armor? Can you talk to me a little bit about that specific sweep and that match?
Have you ever seen me throwing a flying arm walk with somebody besides Tusa? It's the same, you know.
Yeah.
It's a technique that actually we call da firma. You know, like da firma meaning like it's from the group. Like firma is like our team.
Okay.
So that's why we call each other da firma. So, and I think Saulo did a few times, you know, and things like that, and he taught me. Because I have a close guard game, so I always did that, and sometimes I didn't even accomplish that so much because people knew about it. You know, they were expecting it, but a lot of times it actually opens for other things because now they're not comfortable being on their knees. So, which is the amazing thing about the Xande sweep, let's call it flower sweep. It's because it's pretty much the only. It's very safe. You know, you just make a grip, and if the guy is on his knees, he might get caught. If not, he's gonna waste a lot of energy. So it's very safe, right, to do it. And of course, that happens. So, yeah, I always go for it. Like it's the thing with Marcelo. I think those two things, you know, like he was doing an amazing tournament. He smashed everybody. One thing that really scared me is because he tapped Eric Vanderlei in the semifinal or something like this.
Yep.
And he was really known by his back takes and stuff. And I remember looking at Eric Vanderlei's face when Marcel was taking his back. Man, I got scared for him because he made this panic face. I'm like, you know what, man? And that's when I'm like, you know what? I'm not those guys. You know, nobody taps me anything. I did so much training. Everybody takes my back. I can escape the back. He's not going to finish me, and I'm going to get something on him. So, you know, we were there, and I know he's kind of like me. He starts kind of slow, and I close the guard, and I set the position, and he kind of like, he was fixing himself instead of like, I wouldn't say he didn't respect it. I just say he was a little too comfortable, you know, which I understand. He's Marcelo. He was like, I'll say, okay, maybe he's thinking, oh, it's just a matter of time, you know, and then, and then I just set it up, and I think he looked at Fabio or something like this. You know, I set it up. It was so fast because I think it was the fastest one I hit ever. You know, I jump. He was boom, 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 and I click, and I thought, whoa, is he not gonna like? For a second, I actually hesitated because I was like, is he not believing I'm gonna hit this? And then when I hit it, you can see like he kind of like startled, you know. And then I ended up taking his back, you know. So I got them out, and I ended up taking his back, and I got just the points for the back, and that's how it goes. But of course, I trained that a lot. I was still mastering it, you know, even to teach it. You know, the mechanics are very simple of the position, but understanding the energy, that's the key of it, you know. Like I said, you don't have to be so strong, but if you time it right in the distance, because there's this weird sensation of distance that, you know, oh, I think I have it, you know. So you have to hit, you know, at the right space and take the right time. The mechanics, like I said, which explain in even a couple of videos, the mechanics are very simple. The timing, that's where you need
That
to
takes
work.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And and, that,
remember.
and that's pretty much what I felt. You know, I felt, whoa, you know, that was the first thing. I almost lost the timing first because I was like, is he not believing when I hit it? Like, it kind of like, are you for real, bro?
Are
I
you
was like,
talking
what?
about? Are you saying that you thought that once you set your grips and he wasn't defending or?
Yeah, just a second.
Yep.
Because I know when someone, not that he didn't give you credit for it, but I was like, is he that chill in my guard? Like, I think it's just his posture. Like, he didn't really like, oh shit, you know, gotta make sure I'm okay here. Like, he didn't have that. He's like, okay, let me fix myself here. It was more in there like, okay, I'm gonna fix myself here versus like, oh, okay, man, he has that thing, you know, he's like, you know what I mean? So which I understand. When you're in that level, sometimes being that great can catch up, and I think at that moment it did catch up for a second.
Hmm. Well, I talked to Rafael the other day on another podcast, and it was funny because in 2007, the Europeans open weight finals, I believe, or his division
Uh huh.
finals, he did the
Oh.
same. He did the same sweep on one of the guys from Europe there,
Uh
and
huh.
we chatted a little bit about it. He didn't finish it the same, but he executed the same, and that's why I kind of mentioned to you guys. I see a lot of influence on Rafael, and I see I see how his game is kind of evolving, and looking at his game from back then when he first started training with you guys to now, it's come and evolved a lot. We're about a week away from.
I'm here. I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I'll edit that part.
It's okay.
We're about a week away from his match at Fight to Win. Talking about Rafael, we talked a little about your Fight to Win match coming up. Rafael, obviously victorious recently at Fight to Win, but he's coming up against Hulk. What do you like? I mean, something about Hulk. So you've seen him compete. What do you think about that match? Like, what is it that you feel about Rafael's game that is going to be able to match up well with Hulk?
Um, to tell the truth, man, I just trust Rafael is just technically better than Hulk everywhere. I think Hulk is an excellent fighter. Has a lot of gaps in his games. I do know where Rafael can mess him up. Um, I think it's just going to be a matter of time. I think if Rafael can ease the storm, frustrate Hulk where he still needs to use his speed and strength. I think if Hulk slows down, Rafael will catch up to him. So I think Hulk with Rafael, he will have to keep a pace that I'm not sure he's capable of. And I know if he does keep the pace, eventually Rafael will turn into something his advantage. And I think once Rafael gets a good position in him, if Hulk gets a good position in Rafael, I do believe 100% Rafael can escape, but not the other way around. That's how I see. That's how I trust Rafael ability to compete against him. Of course, it's going to be a tough fight. It's just a 1 minute just match, and for sure Hulk will be shape. But like I said, maybe Hulk will like jump around on something, try to get on Rafael's head. I think that's his best option for passing. I don't think crossing the knee will be much of a thing unless he gets Rafael in a scramble. Yeah, but I don't see, like I said, he's gonna have to really, really, really do something very special to really surprise Rafael. And like I said, man, unless Hulk wants to hold the game, if Hulk gets the bottom and he opens the game, I think Rafael is really gonna put pressure, and I don't think he's used to that. That's my opinion. But like I said, I think once Rafael gets a good position, it's gonna be very hard to Hulk to survive.
So, Rafael fighting, Victor Hugo fought last week, and then Shanji's going to be fighting. We won't say his opponent's name a week after that in Fight to Win. Let's say you win, which we all expect you to. If I had a genie here and I can give you at least one dream super fight now that you're back to competing, if there's one match that you want to take this year, what format, what match would it be?
Oh man, there's so many. There's so many guys. Like for sure, my stone on my foot has been Pena the past tournaments. He pretty much spoiled my Abu Dhabi, my World Pro, things. We fought my best fight because my fights with Pena, besides the actually World Pro semifinal, which I had zero. He was winning until the end of it. We fought 4 times. He beat me 4 times, but I've won 85% of the time of those fights.
Mm.
In Japan was a war. Freaking, I stomped him in his head. I title touched him. Blah, blah. In the end, like he swept me, and then I kind of like defended, and he ended up in the bottom, and I lost. Brazil, same thing. I jump guard on him. I end up almost mounting him. I did went to the arm instead of going. So anyway, I was winning, and then 10 seconds he scored a point. And then Worlds, I was winning. I didn't know, I should have played the rules a little better. I was winning like 4 advantage to 0. I pull guard, and instead of having him come up, I come up, and then I end up in stupidity, going on his foot for some reason. And then I was like, when I watched that fight, I'm like, what am I doing? And then, but of course, not taking anything away from Pena,
No.
but I think I would really like to fight anybody in a just submission only for sure, where for sure a sweep or advantage wouldn't be such much of a factor versus our ability to just kill each other. It can be a 10-minute match, 20-minute match. For me, I don't really care. I can name it, I think Pena because I fought him, but I would really like to eventually fight Barbosa again. He beat me twice. Uh, I think I never fought low on a gi. I think that could be a good fight also. I think that would be actually way more entertaining than probably the most fights. That would be the most entertaining of all, in my opinion. He's a warrior. I love watching fighting. I know he would bring it. But again, he's a fighter. He goes, he
Yeah.
fights you, and he scrambles. But I would like to see those guys attempting more submissions games. Of course, Kaina would be another one, and I think the ultimate challenge would be Marigali for
Mm.
sure. I think if he wears a A3 gi for sure, I keep teasing him about it. But yeah, so all those guys, man. Like I said, I will not shy away from anyone.
Nice.
All those guys, they're at least 10 years younger than me. I think Kaina is 22. So everyone I'm talking, they're at least 10 years younger than me. So that's really the only challenges, Like I keep telling people, why do I have to fight the younger, heavier guys? Why I don't get to fight? I get to be the younger and the heavier guy. My next match, I did choose to go down, so I'm fighting at 200 pounds. I just thought it was a really good fight. The guy's younger, but I'm a bit heavier. So I'll give him the age. He'll give me a few pounds. But it's such. I've been watching his matches now. I'm like paying more attention. The guy is a scrambler. Like I said, until they post about it, something might happen to him or might happen to him. So I'll just wait until the event really says it. I'm really excited, man. The guy
Yeah.
has good victories. You know what I mean? He has really, really good fights. A very scrappy game. He does goes for like 50-50, but he's very aggressive. So he's not just like go for those positions to win. He goes there to like really try to break your limbs. So that's pretty interesting about that. So like I said, if I have to say, of course, Pena will be the number one pick for be able to fight a guy like him in that type of scenario. But then I think after him, like I said, I think it'll be Pena, Low, Kaina, Batista. I think that will be like my lineage right there if I have to pick. And then Marigali. I think Marigali will be the most dangerous fight for me because he already fights that way. It'll be super interesting to go that way too.
Well,
But
you.
also too, but also too, because I think like because I know so much his guard and he's a
Hmm.
very good sweeper, I would like to see him on the top. When I
Mm.
fought him, I was in the bottom all the time. I was in the top of the time. So I'd like to see him deal with my guard. So I think that's why I think I can put pressure on anyone, but I don't know if they can put pressure on me being on top. So that's why when they take the sweep away, I think I can have like edge because I can get swept into something that I can attack versus like, oh my God, now I'm on the bottom. Now this guy not going to pass my guard and try to come. So that's how I see the psychology of the game playing.
It's like I said, I think we're going to be able to see some of the best Shanji, and you said it best. Not being afraid of getting swept and going right to an attack. And I think there's two elements of watching a match and appreciating matches. It's one, how the two match up with each other as a whole, but then specifically how who's going to go after submission and how they're going to deal with the submissions against each other, because that's what submission only is. When you take away all the points, there's no more strategy. So now we get to see you fighting at the rawest form, and I don't even remember I've ever seen you getting submitted. So it's going to be so cool to see you in this kind of format back, and hopefully we're gonna get to see more fights of Xande, that the guys that you mentioned, and I'll plant some seeds with some promoters and see what I can get done. But Xande, man, we just passed over an hour and a little bit, man.
That's okay, man.
I know.
I miss you. You can talk.
No, but seriously, I appreciate the time. I learned a lot from your journey. Like I said, it's always great talking to you because, we could talk about jiu-jitsu, we could talk about life, we could talk about a lot of different things. And I've seen you all over the world, from Abu Dhabi to California to Brazil. I get to see Xande competing in every format. It's always a pleasure. You've always been cool with me, and I respect that a lot. And good luck in your academy. I don't like wishing good luck in your fight. Kick some ass, and I know it's gonna be an entertaining one. And that's it. That's it for me today. Anything you want to say at the end of this, Xande?
Well, last time I got submitted was 2005. So it's been 14 years without being submitted, as far as I remember. 2005 was the last time. BJ Heroes does put that João Assis tapped me in DCC, but that wasn't a tap. He took my back and the tap was over, so it wasn't a submission. So I think the last time was Marcelo Garcia. Yeah, he choked me 2005. And then, that was the last time I tapped. And then 06, 07, 08, 09, 2000. Yeah, I don't remember tapping after that. If someone remembers, that's okay. So it's been as long as my guard haven't been passed, that's how long I haven't been submitted. So, man, just appreciate being able to speak with you. You're not just entertaining, but you know what you're talking about. You've been there, you've done there. You've been seeing all the generations. I really appreciate you. Like I said, when we first met, you were talking to Portuguese in Manaus, and I was like, man, I like this guy, So, man, just appreciate all the love from you, from everything you represent in Jiu-Jitsu, and for sure, once the academy is open, please come in and join me for a training session.
Oh, for sure. I heard a rumor it might be near a place that I like to frequent, so I definitely will take you up on that offer. But
for sure, anytime.
Once again, thank you so much, Xande Ribeiro. Guys, if you guys like the episode, make sure you like, subscribe, share the episode, and I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.